We are live. I hope everyone will enjoy. This live is about DC's Legends of Tomorrow. I did a tier list of every 110 episode. I did not count the crossover in that tier list. Um, Now I will say this: I've seen the show maybe a month ago, roughly a month ago. So, with that being said, I still remember most of my choices. Let's start off with the bottom 30, the F tier, and then we will go to the A and S tier. Now, just before we dive deep into this, like to show everything. So, I think OBS, yeah, it's everything. So, as you can see, there's no S plus, there's no A plus in this list. Only F, D, E, C, B, A, S. So the basic tier, I just added E and F. Now, just like the other tier list I did before, uh, in S tier, only 10 candidates must be part of it, and at least one of each season must end up there. So even bad season got their chance with that S tier. Now, let's dive deep into that list. We won't cover each single episode because I can't remember each single episode and I don't want to spend like 2 hours speaking about that. So, let's start off with the rock bottom of the TV show. The F tier for failure. There were 30 episodes there. Yes. Now I will say something. Most of season 4 ended up being there, and season 4 is not even the worst season. That's funny. The biggest reason why most of season 4 is down here, it's because Mona. Mona. I truly hate Mona as a character. She is the worst thing the show ever made. She is a terrible character. So, I was like, I tap out. I see Mona, I tap out. Um, some of the episodes down there, I just skipped them because Mona. And if this happened, well, the episode ended up in F tier for failure. So most of season 4 is there because Mona is a series regular. She's almost there every week. That was terrible. So that's one of the reasons. Now let's dive deep. So the worst episode in the entire show was Mr. Parker cul-de-sac. Now this is coming from someone that likes superhero TV show. I am not there to watch a sitcom. I know a lot of the Legends of Tomorrow fan like sitcom and bad comedy and stuff, but that's just not me. Mr. Parker cul-de-sac was an episode I skipped because I knew that was a freaking bad sitcom. It wasn't funny at all, so I was like, I will just skip that one. It's not good. I think this is also one of the last few episodes with Ray Palmer. It's kind of sad he left the show because the show became very different after he left. He got replaced by Berat, a terrible character I don't care about. Um, okay, so that's it now. Next up would be Legends to Meow Meow. So Legends to Meow Meow, the idea was fine. What made it so bad is Mona. I think she was there. Yeah, Mona was godly terrible. And I will go further with this. I think this is the episode where John Constantine is off character because the plot wants him to be off character. And look, Constantine he sacrificed a lot in his show, even in Legends. He does sacrifice a lot. He does what needs to be done to succeed. And in this episode, he felt just like a stupid guy that doesn't want to give up on something. Usually, Constantine is a very smart person, and after two or three failure, he would have realized there's no other ways. You need to endure. You need to survive that earthquake, that moment where the person he used to love turned into a demon. But no, in this episode, he it takes forever to realize that. It takes the entire episode to realize he needs to move on. And it doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up to the John Constantine character. I feel like they ruined John Constantine character for the sake of this episode to happen. And just like most of the things that happen in season 4, the funny stuff, the jokes, they don't really land. So that's my take on that. Next up would be, hi Ahmad, welcome to the stream. This stream was meant to be yesterday, but things happened and I just missed the mark there. But right after this stream, we will do some Mario. Anyway, next up would be down Romeo v Juliet. That episode was godly terrible. Oh my. Most episodes in F tier are terrible. Like, if you ever get to see the show, just skip these shitty episodes. It's like rock bottom for the show. It's kind of sad. So the whole idea is he decided to basically say, oh, what if Shakespeare, I think, doesn't write Romeo and Juliet? Yeah, there were 110 episodes of DC's Legends of Tomorrow. It's basically a TV show that lasted from 2016 to 2021, I believe. No, 22, right. Last year was their last season. But yeah, there was 110 episodes. But I will say this, like, among these, a lot of episodes were trash. The show is really hard to watch. The first 3 seasons are fine. Well, the first season is mediocre. Season 2 is a masterpiece. Season 3 was really good. Season 4 started to get terrible. Season 5 was awful. Yeah, that was really rough for me to rewatch the show. So that's the tier list of the episode. Most of the episode in failure tier are from season 4, because Mona is like a terrible character, and she is a huge focus there. What the scale of trash? I don't know if you have seen She-Hulk, but this is well, I won't say it's really woke. There are some woke elements here and there. But the reason why it's so bad, it's not because some of the parts of the episode are woke. It's because the storytelling is shit. The jokes, they don't land. The character, they don't work. The story itself is filled with issues. But in that bunch, in that 30-ish really bad episode, there are a few woke episodes. But I would not place something down there just because it's woke. Because I don't think it's good as a reviewer if you just say it's woke, it's bad. I think you need to be more nuanced. You need to be smarter about what you're doing. So when I say like these 30 episodes are really bad, some are because parts of it is woke, but there's more than just woke shit in it. Because if there would be more, if that would be like just woke shit, that would be like D for me or C. You know, that's mediocre. If it's just woke for me, it's mediocre. You know, but the show has more issues. Like, we will go over some of these episodes. Swamp Dong, the last episode of freaking season 5 was so bad. There was a musical in it. And like, what am I watching? The show doesn't take itself seriously. A lot of the core fan base like that kind of shit. I don't. Um, the other one is the Eggplant and the Witch and the Wardrobe. This one I can't remember, but if it's down here, it's because of Mona. One of the worst character they did. Yeah, exactly, Ahmad. You got it right. Like, Constantine was one of the best part of season 4. And the reason why Legends of Meow Meow is so bad for me, it's because it's all around John Constantine. John Constantine is one of my favorite DC hero, and they freaking murdered his character. Like, look, the character itself was still alive after that, but the character assassination John Constantine got there was so terrible. That's why, like, Legends of Meow Meow is so low. It's because they ruined my boy. They ruined my Constantine. Gonna be gay next series. So yeah, a lot of terrible episodes are there. So the next up is, oh my, episode 13 of season 5. That one was very bad. It was a sitcom. They did a lot of fourth wall breaking, and they can they just make a new character? I think they're too lazy. But yeah, uh, what happened on TV was a sitcom, a terrible sitcom. I really hated the guts out of this episode. Next up would be Term of Service. I think Term of Service, now it's far away in my memory, but I think Term of Service is like when Neron decides to control everyone with like an app about demon. That was godly terrible. Season 4 was so bad, it was just the start of it. Next up, Meet the Legends. That's episode 2, I believe. Oh, that one is. Bruh, that one. Okay, people are on scooters and they. Oh no, that's episode 2, so I think that's like the first episode after Crisis. That was trash. Uh. Like, Sarah grief over Oliver dying, and people just don't really ask her like how she feels, and that sounds really stupid because that's not the Sarah we knew. The Sarah from Arrow, she didn't speak about her feeling. She was she was like woman Oliver, and Oliver wasn't about his feeling all the time. But apparently in this show, Sarah turned like that. So I'm like, what the fuck? For real, what the fuck? Is it Sarah Lance? No, it's not. Um, so yeah, they basically ruined her character there. Next up, the Gateway. Oh, I think the Gateway is when John Constantine is sent to hell and he realizes, look, your ancestors were bad, you're also bad. Next up, the last Common Dominator. Oh my, I think I remember that one. The last Common Dominator is reality TV shit. That was godly terrible. I skipped that episode. It's so bad. I've seen it once, and the only time I've seen that episode to the, well, I won't say to the end, but the only thing I've seen that episode, I basically skipped over like half of it because it was so bad. And on my most recent watch, I just skipped it because I knew that it was reality TV. That's terrible. That's like, I don't know why it's so high in that tier. I guess it's because it didn't hurt as much as others, but next up, Board on Board on Board. Oh my, this one. This one is so bad. It's basically an episode where people play Clue in the episode. They need to learn who killed, and they need to learn the weapon, and they need to basically learn in which room. That was ridiculous. Really, Legends of Tomorrow, it's so many lows. The show went so bad sometime, it's unbelievable. Um, Gus. Oh, I think I remember Gus. Gus was so bad. Gus, um, that was another sitcom. The whole goal of that episode is let's save that sitcom. That's ridiculous. Um, Next up, the Satanist Apprentice. This one they took away Constantine powers because they wanted Constantine to get some growth. I think at some extent it's fine. The idea is fine, but it's poorly executed, and it's fine until half of the episode becomes animation. I'm like, I'm watching something live action, and you decide to just splash in animation to save some money. Really? You're doing this to me, show. Why? I don't get it. Why? Next up, Squid. I can't even remember why he placed that one. That must be a really bad episode. Episode 3. Episode 3, I remember that one. I remember that one being so bad because at the very end of this episode, people start playing freaking football in the White House. This is the show, everyone. This is your show. Next up, meet the legends. Oh yeah, in this episode, the legends, instead of being superhero, they flip burger. Bruh. You think I'm joking? I'm not. This is how bad the show was sometimes. Episode 11. They play bowling. Bruh. Season 6 was so bad. It's unbelievable how bad this was. So they play bowling. Oh my. Next up, Science and Sensibility. They do a musical shit. After that, it's Heavy and Geeky. I can't remember this one. It's from season 5. I like to forget about that season sometimes. Next up, A World. A World, A World. I think this was the finale of season 4. They basically want to create that big park where the creatures are to celebrate the creatures so people are no more scared about these creatures. That was cringe as hell, but hey, most of Legends is cringe at that point. Oh, the next up is funny. That's one of the few. It was a woke episode. I think that episode was there just because it's woke. Um, Ellen Hunt. This was terrible. Like they reduce men as stupid people. The storytelling is shit. It's filler. You can skip that one and still understand the season. What else? I think that's enough. Like, if you can skip an episode and still understand the season, you don't need that episode. So that episode is in fact really bad. Next up, Lucias the Espistas. I think that's the one where they need to sing to make a creature more quiet. I think that's it. Can't really remember. Season 4 was so bad. El No Dolly. Oh, that's the episode where they had the puppet killer. Okay, yeah, that episode was bad. Um, Slay Anything. Oh, that's the party with the really bad new Zeri from season 5. They need to freaking do the party, and some people do so much party that they end up dying. It was ridiculous. Legends turned out to be really bad. Um, PLP Stuck. That's season 4. I can't remember. Maybe it's Mona. Tender is the Nate. That's the story, the backstory between Nate and his father, and I think that you get to meet the father, and I think that's it. Tagumo Attack. I can't remember that one. Dancing Queen. I can't remember that one. Egg McGuffin. I can't remember that one. Well, I think I do. They actually had that the dragon. That was an egg dragon, but that's all I can remember. 7-7 Wonder Place is the war effort. Oh, yeah. This episode was all about feminist. The idea is fine, but poorly executed. It wasn't a funny episode, but they tried really hard to be. It's another episode you can skip and still understand. Only like the last 5 minutes are worth watching, and it's just not good. It's just not good. Season 7 was bad. But season 7 was better than 6 for sure, but that was a bad season nonetheless. I think I did bash enough these 30 atrocious episodes. I think we can move on to like uh S tier. Maybe we will brush over some of the A tier. I won't go in depth with this, but what stands out for me here is Bad Blood 610. The reason why it stands out, it's because it's one of the few good episodes in Season 6. Season 6 at its moment. Overall, Season 6 is terrible, but as you can see, there are some episodes that are in B tier, some episodes in A, well, one episode in A, one episode in S, but I will say this, the episode in S is actually worthy of being S. I didn't place that one on S just because of my rule. That was a really good episode. All of the Constantine aspect of the 6th season were good. The rest of season 6 is pile of shit. They kill off-screen Sarah, and anyway, I will say this. 610 and 614 are Constantine centric, and this is why these episodes stand out and why they are so good. It's because it's Constantine. So yeah. I guess what also stands out is the 2 episodes from season 7. War Against the Machine. I think this is the episode where the Robo Legends go against the True Legends. Right after the True Legends try to change the fixed point. 7-3 was the 100 episode. The 100 episode was amazing. It was a good homage to the TV show. It was amazing. It was just in the wrong season. And Paranoid Android was one of the best episodes in the entire show. This one deserves to be up there. So yeah, what else? Now, as you can see, season 2 and 3, there's a lot of these in A rank, because these are the 2 best seasons the show had. And it's surprising enough because we got 2 episodes from season 1 up there. They were really good as well. So I guess we can dive deep into the top 10. Now, I will say this, Doom World, it was borderline S tier. If I had more than 10 space, I would add Doom World. And if I didn't force myself into placing one episode of each season in that tier, Doom World would be S tier. The only reason why Doomworld is not S tier is because there's like 10 spots and every season needs to be there. So, with that being said, the Fellowship of the Spear. I think that was like the one episode before the betrayal. Yeah, that was the episode before the betrayal. So, what happened there is they collect the piece of the spear and they go in the First World War to collect the blood of Christ or something like that. And this is like the missing thing for the spear to work. And at the end of this episode, Mick betrayed the legends because he doesn't feel like he's part of the legends and because he wants to see Snart again. So that betrayal leads to Doomworld. And this is why it's so good, because the betrayal made sense. There were seed planted throughout the season. It felt right. So, Fellowship of the Spear is a great episode. Moonstore. Oh, I remember that one. They basically went in space to hide one of the pieces of the spear. And in this episode, they get to see his grandfather again. And his grandfather basically self-sacrificed to save everyone. That was freaking emotional. I could not believe that things like that happens. It got me emotional, I'm telling you. In this episode, we also get a team up with scientists with Ray and Reverse Flash. That was very interesting. You know what? I feel this is so unfair for these two episodes. They are so much better than the others. I will place these two here. It's really unfair. So this is more fitting. This way, this is much more fitting. Now, the true question is, There Will Be Blood. Is it better or worse than... That's so hard for me. I think this one should actually be there. And this one should be there. Yeah. I think now that's much more fair. So the reason why I moved them is because I see my top 10 and they are too low. These two episodes are really, really strong and they deserve to be higher. There Will Be Blood is still very good, but it's season 6 and overall season 6 is much worse than the first season. So, yeah, I think it's much more fair to place these here like that. First up, Gary the Virgin. That was the first episode of season 4. I don't remember seeing Mona in that one, so that's a plus for me. Since it's a minus when she's there, when she's not there, that's a plus. So, yeah, that's how I see it. Gary the Virgin was the first episode where they tried really hard to be funny, but they failed doing so. It wasn't funny. Gary the Virgin is very lackluster. It's not a good episode. The only reason why it's up there, it's because of my rule of having one episode of each season in the S tier. Because this episode, before I placed it in S tier, I believe I placed it like in C tier or D tier. I can't remember where exactly. But that was like mediocre at best. Next up, Zeri Not Zeri. Considering in Season 5, it's a blessing. Season 5 is terrible. The new Zeri, I hated the guts out of her, but I think her setup was fine. She was interesting, I guess, but nothing more. I can't even remember. I think that's the episode where Barad and Nate they go in Barad's family. I think that's it. That's this episode. I think Barad was such a bad character. I didn't care for him. He was like dollar store freaking Ray. Anyway, just like season 4, this episode was probably like C tier or so because it's from season 5. But it was the best episode in season 5, so I just placed it there. Now, there will be Brood. This is a Warty for S rank. Like, this is the first Warty for S rank right now. In this episode, we get more of Constantine. I think Constantine basically betrays the legends to align with Bishop because he thinks he can double cross Bishop and he thinks he can get his magic back. That was amazing. I like that a lot. It's just a shame that the rest of the season is so terrible. Anyway, that was a good episode. I will say this. Yeah, I think this is also the same episode where Zari is trying to bring back Constantine in the right path and saying that's me or the drugs. And at first he seemingly accepts to be with her, but the moment she turns her back on him, he just leaves and he aligns with Bishop. Next up, the Fellowship, I already covered that one. Legendary, that one is amazing. I think Legendary is just a bit better than Fellowship, only because of Captain Cold's self-sacrifice to save Mick and the others. That was amazing. This episode was the best episode in season 1, and just because of that episode, man, season 1 went really up. Season 1 is mediocre at best, but this season finale made that season worth watching. Captain Cold's self-sacrifice is just wonderful. Next up, Paranoid Android. That was the best thing in season 7. I felt like it was the Legends of Tomorrow season 1, 2, 3 vibe. It didn't feel like the later season of Legends. And this is why I liked it so much. And this is why it's higher than Moonstar or something. I'm not the biggest fan of the later season of the show. And just because of that, this episode was amazing. Because it didn't feel like the later season. Next thing. Compromise. Compromise. I can't remember that one. Oh, I think that's 2-5. I can't even remember that one. But season 2 was a masterpiece, so I guess it deserved to be there. I just can't remember which one was it. 2-5. That was early in the season, because I can't remember. Aruba was amazing, because Aruba, they basically defeat the Legion of Doom, and at the end they realized they messed up with time. They needed to time travel and meet themselves, and there was that big fight between Reverse Flash and Black Flash was there, and that was an epic climax for a great season. Yeah, this episode is just amazing. Aruba was one of the best things the show ever did. Last up, Daddy Darkest. Season 3, Episode 10. So, I'll say this. The third season was weaker than the second season. But that was still a very good season. And it had its moment. And the biggest reason why Daddy Darkest is there, John Constantine. He was amazing. Sarah Lance and him effing in the closet was funny. Genuinely funny. Like, this episode is the perfect episode. If someone asks me, tell me one good episode of Legends of Tomorrow, I will say this episode. Now, another close one would be No Country for Old Dads because of the self sacrifice of Damien Dark. But episode 10 is just amazing. We get Constantine, he has his cameo, and his cameo is just great. So, yeah, next week I will cover Legends of Tomorrow first 3 seasons. And then we will cover season 4 and 5. And then season 6 and 7. With that being said, I hope everyone enjoyed. What would be your tier list? What would be like your top 10 episode of Legends of Tomorrow? Now, as I said earlier, I do think Doomworld should be up there in S tier. The only reason why it's not is because of my rule. But yeah, I think overall I enjoyed rewatching the show just to laugh on how bad the show went sometime. And I genuinely enjoyed some of the season, like the first 3 seasons. And there were aspects of the 7th season that were watchable at best. So anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed. Like, comment, and subscribe. We will see each other in future video. Have a great day and take care of yourself.